Thank you very much, and thank you very much to everybody. Je m'excuse si je parle pas en français, mais bon, la diglossie là est impérante, donc I will speak in English because this thank you for the organization of this wonderful event that is really interesting for me from several points of view. This communication is the preliminary result of a research undertaken by myself and Veronica Prestini on a manuscript preserved in the Laurenziana library in Florence. And thanks to Dr. Prestini, in April 2024, the Museum of Oriental Art in Turin exhibited a Shāhnāme, the manuscript Orientale 5 of the Biblioteca Medicea Laurenziana during an exhibition, and we were called to present it to the public. We studied it carefully through the 2025, and the manuscript has now been digitized and is available online. This project was made possible thanks to the funding from the Italian Ministry of Research. The manuscript is already known. The main study was carried out by Angelo Michele Piemontese as part of his catalogue of Persian manuscripts preserved in Italy. Piemontese described its 807 folios subdivided into various parts. The manuscript contains the prose preface by Abu Mansur and Ferdowsi Shāhnāme, as you can see. Inside there is a Samname and a Garshasname. A colophon appears on folio 806 and bears the date of Shavvāl 990, that is October-November 1582. The manuscript is illustrated with 26 high-quality miniatures from Shiraz school and executed with the entire manuscript. Examined by various scholars, the miniatures have been published on several occasions by Nallino, Piemontese, and Robinson, with brief descriptions. Concerning the miniatures, the publication of Lale Uluç Turkmen governors Shiraz and Ottoman collections offer an illustrative overview of this production, beginning with the following statement that in the decade 1580-90, luxury manuscript production in Shiraz reached its peak. The scholar then focuses on some specific aspects of this production, starting with the large format of the text, averaging 40 centimeters in height, as it is in the case of Manuscript Orientale 5 in Florence. She emphasizes that the most reproduced and illustrated work of the Shāhnāme and the Khamsa de Neżāmī, these two, as we shall see in this case, is a common feature with the manuscript we are investigating. A Khamsa arrived in Florence together with the Shāhnāme. Other similarities pointed out by Uluç include the numbers of miniatures ranging from 20 to 50, 24 in our case, the iconography, the increase of number of figures who are depicted in larger detail, and the focus on celebration and public activities. The scholar points to several examples that could be related to our manuscript, such as the Shāhnāme preserved in the Topkapı Sarayı Müzesi Library, and another in the Metropolitan Museum of New York, this one, of the 5083 perhaps. A third similar example is preserved in the Museum of Fine Art in Boston, dated 5084. Returning to Angelo Michele Piemontese's description of the manuscript, the scholar reported that a document had been brought to his attention by the Turcologist Aldo Gallotta in the State Archives of Florence, where was a list of objects sent by the Ottoman Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha and Kapudani Derya, that is a very important role in the Ottoman Navy. Once we found this list, we come across numerous other documents which we examined carefully. The study of the document immediately revealed some surprises. Piemontese had already noticed that in addition to the Shāhnāme, the gift also included a Khamsa de Neżāmī, which must have been the manuscript Orientale 11, effectively a Khamsa dating from around the same period as the Shāhnāme, and an Iskandernameh, which the scholar hypothesized to be that of Ahmedi, preserved in Venice, as there are no other illustrated manuscripts with this name in Italy. And this is also, I think, interesting for someone in this room. However, the document provided further important information. In addition to the 3 manuscripts, numerous other items were to be donated, many horse tack. That is very interesting. The manuscripts were donated with part of the horse that we will see it is important, this detail. Furthermore, in addition to the Tughra, which, the Tughra disappeared. In addition with the Tughra, which clearly identified the name of the Kapudani Derya Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha, the seal bore a date, 1093, 1683 of the Christian era, which allowed the date of the donation to be moved a period after the reign of Ferdinand II, as written by Piemontese, namely to the reign of Cosimo III de' Medici, 60-70-23, which is around this period. Furthermore, the absence of any mention of the manuscript in the Registro dei Libri Orientali del Serenissimo Granduca, compiled by Barthélemy d'Herbelot in 1666, confirmed that the manuscript was donated after that date. The last aspect seemed to be confirmed by the period in which Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha lived and worked. In 1663, he took the title of Muṣāḥib. In 1666, he became second vizier during the Sultanate of Mehmed IV, and in 1683, Kaptani Derya. In 1684, he took part in the War of Morea as Serasker, commander of the Ottoman fleet. He died in 1685, as stated by the Vekayu ul-Fuzala Vetukhfei Atatin by Sheikh Mehmed Effendi, the main source of information on this figure. Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha wrote several other letters to the Grand-duc of Toscane. In one of them, he describes his deep friendship for the Grand-duke, whose domain he knows well: Florence, Liguria, Pisa, Bisenzio, Bise, Portoferraio, Pistoia, and other nations of which he is ruler and Grand-duke, whom he held in high esteem and consideration, and Cosimo III is named in the text. Cosimo III, is in, how do it works? Oh, no, sorry. Well, okay, I made something wrong. Sorry. Anyway, it's in some part there. Okay. And Cosimo, for the letter thanks Cosimo for the help he provided in treating him when he was ill, probably suffering from gout. According to the Sigilli Osmani, Muṣṭafā Paşa was affected by this disease for many years. He therefore sends to Cosimo III some book. Here they are called defter, as a gift of gratitude. In another document, which is of which only an Italian translation remains, he refers to a slave he met in Venice, a certain Celes, which is a strange name, but who begged him to free him, saying that he would repay him once he returned in Turkey. Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha managed to free him, but as soon as he is freed, half in money, half in good, the slave goes to Cosimo to convert to Christianity, and Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha asks for his money back. Other letters are currently being read and are likely to hold surprise for the future in terms of their contents, but they are all personal letters. It is clear from all this correspondence that there was a certain familiarity between Cosimo and Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha, and although no documents of a more political nature have been found at present, it is interesting to note that starting in 1682, Cosimo III was urged to contribute to the war against Turks, but he opposed this with cautious but tenacious resistance, limiting himself to arming 3 galleys that never left the port of Leghorn and supplying ammunition that he never gave. However, the main aspect of this donation lies in the volumes themselves that Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha sent to the Grand-duke. In fact, on the one hand, it reveals the figure of an Ottoman notable, himself a collector and artist, and on the other, that of Cosimo III, a sovereign often judged to be a bad politician, but an attentive promoter of the arts. With regard to Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha collection, I am deeply grateful to Zeren Tanender for some significant information concerning 2 manuscripts in possession of the Capudan Ideria, that reveal the choices on an historical and artistic level. The first is a manuscript kept in the Topkapı Sarayı library with a note in the margin revealing that it belonged from Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha, along with a previous seal of Selim I, of the library of Selim I, sorry. As indicated in a marginal note in this manuscript, it was donated by his widow, presumably to the Ottoman Imperial Treasury following the death of the Capudan Ideria. In another manuscript, also dated Zulhijjah 1097, that is 1686, the same deed of donation appears. In this case, it is a life of the Prophet Muhammad, Asari Muzaffarieh, by Muhi Arabi, dated 1568, from the Safavide period, probably produced in Balkh or Herat. The manuscript is also kept today in the Topkapı Library, and it's an illustrated and beautiful manuscript for several reasons. It is almost certain that both manuscripts were donated together with the death, after the death of Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha in 1685. An interesting fact about the 2 manuscripts in the Laurenziana library is that they do not bear any seal, whereas the Istanbul manuscript both have seals dating back to before, and they came into the possession of Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha, which date back of the period of Selim I. It is possible that an attempt was made to erase a seal in the Laurenziana Shāhnāme. I have not the photo, unfortunately, but in any case, the Laurenziana manuscript has no marginal notes or any distinctive marks explaining its provenance. It was evidently a personal acquisition of Muṣṭafā Muṣāḥib Pasha himself for Cosimo III. The term defter, used to describe the manuscript in the letter accompanying the list of gifts, probably indicates that they were not bound. In fact, Manuscript Orientale 5 was certainly bound shortly after the donation using an Italian binding. According to sources, Muṣāḥib Muṣṭafā Pasha was known to be proficient in Arabic and Persian and to have studied calligraphy under Belgradi Mehmed IV. His poems are said to be free of pseudonymy and exquisite, and likely due to his father's influence, he was familiar with music. Various literary works were dedicated to and presented to Muṣāḥib Muṣṭafā Pasha. The first of these works presented was the Tuḥfetul Emsal, a religious and moral mesnevi by Nali Mehmed Effendi, who was born in Konya and later came to Istanbul, where he served as a teacher in various positions. Other poets were Sami Yunus, Shuuri Hassan, Nazim Yahya, and some further minor literati. Although less documented, at least in the current state of research, his activity as a collector can still be remembered. Muṣāḥib Muṣṭafā Pasha was also a promoter of various architectural work, including many Waqf works such as a hammam, a caravanserai, a kahvehane, together with the Sheker Furush Mahalle Mosque, which were built in Konya, along with 12 fountains in the city. Mehmed IV was a ruler who renowned for his passion for hunting. Muṣāḥib Muṣṭafā Pasha was a servant and confidant of the Sultan and accompanied him on his hunting expeditions, presenting him with various gifts. For example, in November of 1664, during a hunting expedition in the Yambolu region, Muṣṭafā Pasha presented the Sultan with 3 horses of different breeds. The horses are in all his among these presents, 2 of which were Arabian, and in return was rewarded with a sable fur and a robe of honor. In August 1666, Muṣṭafā Pasha was hosting the Sultan at his palace, presented him with a jewel-encrusted sable fur coat, a gold-encrusted belt, a sword, a gold dagger, as well as a magnificent and ornamented horse, and covered every surface with meters of fabric and gold and silver coins. This closeness earned him of the most prestigious title, that of Damat, Sultan son-in-law, and in 1675 he married the Sultan's daughter Hatice Sultan. As for Cosimo III, as mentioned above, he was more interested in art, science, and literature than politics, although this view of his reign has often been questioned. He traveled extensively through Europe and was famous for the marvelous objects he acquired as gifts or through direct purchase. He was interested in mathematics, medicine, and literature, and above all, he was a collector. He was responsible for the completion of the Medici galleries and the Museum of Natural Science, as well as for encouraging the Accademia della Crusca. Cosimo III also contributed to the collection of Arabic, Persian, and Turkish manuscripts, which had been already extensively expanded through numerous purchases made in the 16th and 17th century to support of the Medici typografia that Sarafani knows very well. And at the time of Cosimo III, the typografia Medicea has long since failed, but that experience had left an important mark on the study of the East, which had its center in Florence, but also in other towns. Even Rome was a very important center for the taking of manuscripts. Cosimo probably saw in Oriental divertissement a further element of this highly personal style of government and his interests, which often stemmed from a passion for the northern eastern countries that were inaugurated a new dimension of Oriental studies with major translations. Moreover, the arrival in Florence during the reign of Ferdinand II of Barthélemy d'Herbelot was proof of the attention paid to this type of research when Cosimo himself was young. The Grand-duc attempt to keep in the Laurenziana, Ferdinand II, to keep it in the Laurenziana library, and even at this court, d'Herbelot. He failed because he was recalled in France by Colbert. But the memory of that memorable experience remained even later when Cosimo III became Grand Duke and continued to take an interest in Oriental manuscript. The meeting with Muṣṭafā Paşa, although still quite mysterious, fits into the frame in some way, and we hope that new sources will allow us to explore a subject that may provide surprising new insight. Thank you.